I don't think they'll be able to raise their rates at all. I don't think they should raise rates at all. And I think that I'm very glad that they learned.
The founder of the world's biggest hedge fund issued a warning in Davos at the World Economic Forum today. Ray Dalio of Bridgewater telling Maria that the Fed will keep its hand away from the rate cut flames now after having been singed. But remember, last month, right before the Fed's December meeting, Peter Schiff of Euro Pacific Capital went further than that when I asked him what the Fed will soon be forced to do.
I think regardless of what the Fed does on Wednesday,
well,
I think the next move after that is go. Yeah, I am. Regardless of what they do, the next thing they're going to do is cut rates. They're going back down to zero.
So Dalio says pause. Schiff says the Fed shouldn't, but will cut rates. What does Wall Street's most closely followed economist say? Let's bring him in. Mohamed El-Erian of Allianz is here in a Fox Business exclusive. Mohamed, thank you for joining us. Who's got it right? Dalio, Schiff, or neither?
So I think both, in the sense that they'll do nothing this year. And if they do anything next year, which is 2020, they'll probably cut.
Wow. OK. Why? Do you predict a recession here?
I certainly don't. I think the U.S. economy is in a really good place. Just look at the last labor report. The U.S. economy produced twice as many jobs as people expected. Wages are going up by 3.2%. People are coming back into the labor force. What's the problem with the U.S. economy? Two. One that we can solve easily, self-inflicted wounds. The Fed, as Ray Dalio said, has learned, so we don't have to worry too much about the Fed communication. And hopefully we can solve the partial government shutdown. The second issue is much deeper. The rest of the world is in a much worse place than we are, Europe in particular. So keep an eye on what's happening there, because the risk is they may contaminate us. I don't think they will, but they may.
You wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post. I found it really interesting, and it was about the U.S. economy and all of this, but it was also commenting on what comes out of Davos and the World Economic Forum. You know, I've been 9 years, and I think it really attracts some of the most powerful business and world leaders. But, you know, you specifically said it tends really almost to be somewhat of an echo chamber of negativity, and that it really doesn't help anybody. In this article, you say the global economy doesn't have to slow down. You also said Davos has historically been much better at looking backward than forward. It will help no one to engage in pointless moaning and blame games. People in Davos, Mohamed, are very negative right now. Are you as negative? Because to me, I see data that look relatively decent here.
So first, I'm not negative on the U.S. economy. I can understand the concerns about Europe and China.
Okay.
But I think that people go too far and extended that to the U.S. Now, why are people so negative in Davos? The dynamics are the following. They come together, they talk to each other. What do they talk to each other about? What they just saw, what they just experienced. And what are they experiencing? The effects of a slowdown. So what they tend to do, and we've seen this last year when they projected forward the good feeling, they project forward where we've just come from. So be careful about Davos. It tends to be much more backward-looking than forward-looking.
Tell me now, aside from the U.S., because you say we look relatively strong here, what other country, I'm always thinking business, what other country has a healthy economy that you look at and say, well, that may be a place to invest?
So there are very few right now. If you look at Europe, that is the most concerning. They're running out of steam. They may produce 1.8 to 2% growth when the numbers for last year come out. I'll be surprised pleasantly if they come in at half that level. There is simply no economic policy momentum. And reasons why is politics, lots of transitions, and Brexit, which is sucking out all the oxygen from policymaking. So I really worry about Europe, and it's very hard to find a shining light in Europe. Even Germany is under significant pressure.
Well, let's get to Brexit for a second. Are we overstating the value or the impact that Brexit might have on our economy? Does it have, I guess, the ability to derail whether it's our economy or our markets, or is that just an overstatement?
It's a huge overstatement. I mean, if you want to look at the effects of Brexit, focus first and foremost on the United Kingdom. Then the second derivative will be the rest of Europe. But even there, the impact will be much smaller. By the time you come to us, it will have very little impact. What people worry about is not Brexit as such. It's that politics is now contaminating economics. That's what people are saying when they say we're worried about Brexit here. But our economy is fundamentally sound. We're still going forward, powered by the tax reform and the deregulation.
Well, let me end on this, Mohammed. What are you telling your clients at Allianz? What are you saying to invest in at the moment? And is it a currency? It doesn't necessarily have to be a stock market or any region in the world.
So what I tell people is understand that we've entered a much more volatile period. And the reason why it is because the three major things that determine stock prices are no longer aligned: growth, liquidity from central banks, and technical psychology, the buy on dips mentality. That's gone. So this is going to be a very volatile environment. We're going to swing plus and minus 10% with quite a bit of frequency. So keep some cash dry. There are really good companies that will trade cheaply, and you have to be more tactical than you've been in the past. Great
advice. Something tells me, Mohammed, this is going to be one of the most viewed interviews on FoxBusiness.com. Folks, we're going to put up the link in just a few minutes so that you can watch it in case you missed the top half of it. We know how that goes. Mohammed, thank you so much. And sorry about your Jets. Who are you rooting for the Super Bowl?
Definitely the Rams.
All right. Go Jared Goff.
Thank you, Liz.
You got it. Thanks so much. He's a man who loves those Jets.